What's up guys, Sheldon back with another review, and today we are looking at the Super Action statue POLNAREFF. Well, I don't know, it just says POLNAREFF, but it's like, you know, the second version of POLNAREFF, or lovingly known as Wheelchair POLNAREFF for obvious reasons. The existence of this figure is a spoiler already, so I'm going to avoid any sort of information here, not make the same mistake I did last time. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the box a bit more closely. So, as you can see, he comes with a wheelchair. That is his main accessory, and it's pretty large, which is why this box is so large. And then taking a closer look at the other accessories that he comes with a slew of hands. This is really all that he comes with, though. And as you can see, there's a difference in how the hands peg in, and we'll take a close look in a second. But for his right side, the hands attach with the peg, whereas the left hand, the peg stays in the wrist. He also comes with the display stand, which is standard, and he comes with a neutral face as well as a yelling face. Okay, so let's just take a look at the box really quickly, though. Again, here are some of the poses you can put POLNAREFF in for some inspiration. Here is some side art over here. Here is the front with the box window. More to the side, and here's the top while we're at it. Okay, well, that pretty much does it for the box, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at the accessories. So, here is POLNAREFF with a pair of fists. As you can see, his, well, this left side, but his right arm, though, the forearm is metallic, so it's supposed to be that he lost part of his pinky. I guess you can tell because it's robotic, it's not much of a spoiler, but part of his hand is gone, and so it's supposed to be robotic, and then it continues all to the front. The only thing I want to make a comment on is I only wish that the joint itself was also metallic, but here is POLNAREFF with a pair of fists. Here is POLNAREFF with a pair of relaxed hands. Here is POLNAREFF with two special hands on each side. So this side you have a rapier attached at the wrist, and then this hand over here, it is a pointing hand, or, you know, a stylistic hand. And here is POLNAREFF with another set of unique hands over here. So this side is another fist, except it also has a peg in it. And so the figure doesn't come with the accessory that he's supposed to hold, but it is meant to hold something. And then for his left hand, we have here a bleeding finger. So this is a plot significant accessory. And if we can get the focus, maybe, we'll see. If it's not focusing, that's okay. But he's just bleeding at the fingertip over here. And that pretty much does it for the hands. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and take a closer look at his other head, which is this yelling face. Alright, let me zoom in over here and focus over here. So, you know, sculpted pretty nicely. As you can kind of see, he has a scar across his right eye. And something that I noticed here was that the eye, I don't know if you can see it, is a little, it's not lazy, but it's a little small, right? This one is wide and angry, this one's kind of small. But on the neutral face, the eye is actually, I would say, just fine. So that's interesting. There's a little bit of inconsistency here, though. That's something I want to note, right? So it makes sense if the eye is kind of small and kind of weak because it's injured, but this one is fine, this one's a little smaller, this one feels like it'd be the more accurate depiction, okay? But overall, in terms of the sculpt, as you can kind of see, they're really cleanly done, and the lips are painted very cleanly as well. The lips, it's this nice little, it's not quite the same color as the skin. And as you can kind of see, the light hits it, and you can kind of see POLNAREFF's cheekbones as well. So it's a very beautiful sculpt, actually. I'm not like a huge personal fan of POLNAREFF. Sorry for POLNAREFF fans, but this is a really nice looking figure. Okay, but that is the head sculpt over here. The hair is done pretty well, as usual. It's got a nice little black wash over it to give it some texture. And of course, the standout accessory is the wheelchair. Alright, so let me just get it into frame. So, the wheelchair over here, it's pretty decent size. There are parts of it that are pretty small, so I had to be really careful about where to articulate. But the wheels here do turn. They're not super loose, so you can't just like, it's not going to roll down anything. These wheels right here are also articulated, and the wheels themselves. These are not articulated, so they should, but they're not, which is not a big deal. The back of the wheelchair also has a peg hole for the stand in case you ever want him to fly through the air like a daredevil or something for that amazing wheelchair action. Also, these over here, the brakes on the wheelchair, do in fact work, so that's a really nice touch. Aside from that, though, that pretty much does it for the articulation, at least the stuff that I'm aware of. But giving you a good idea of how large it is. Here's Polnareff next to it, and you know, you'll have some shots of him sitting in the chair as well, so it's a pretty decent size accessory. Alright, cool. Well, that does it for all he comes with. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure itself. Alright, so Polnareff stands about just a little over 6 inches to the top of his hair, which comes out to be about 16 centimeters. So, pretty standard size for super action statue. Here is Polnareff next to Silver Chariot, who I have in a pose, of course, always in a pose. Silver Chariot has his back arched slightly, but in terms of scaling, it looks like they still scale pretty well. Silver Chariot is a pretty thin figure overall, so it makes sense to have also a thin user. And in terms of height, he's bent over, but they're going to be about the same height as you can see. And of course, here is Wheelchair Polnareff next to Stardust Crusaders Polnareff. So proportions a little bit different. Let me have him standing straight up. As you can kind of see, and it's not much of a spoiler to say, but this version is just an older version of Polnareff, so he's thinner. You can kind of think of it that his muscles atrophied from not going on a crusade of Stardust, so maybe. Also, the head is a bit larger as well, but it's not really much of a complaint when you consider that Polnareff's original head is pretty small in comparison to his body, or at least his shoulders. It's actually a little bit strange how small it is now that I see it. But overall, a thinner look, and personally, a also more exciting design. Okay, regardless though, that's the size comparison. Let's take a closer look at the articulation. So Polnareff has a pretty standard suite of standard set. How do I even call this? Whatever. Polnareff has pretty standard articulation when it comes to super action statue, but he has that hinged joint for the neck, so you do get the swivel no problem over here, and then the articulation for the neck is going to be hindered by his hair, but he also has a joint at the base of the neck, so you do get a bit of play over here, but combined, this is about how far you can get him to look down. Then not much going back, which is to be expected, again thanks to the hair, but you can get them to do this kind of stuff though. For the shoulders, it goes just under horizontal. These pads do get in the way, but these pads, which are actually very finely detailed, if I can hopefully focus on this for you guys so you can kind of see, but there's a lot of really small sculpt worked in here. And it actually has a P. I'll see if my phone can handle this. Probably not, but trust me that there is the letter P in there for Polnareff, so it's really cool. You can actually see it better from far away, but really nice detail. So aside from that though, these shoulder pads do move and rotate, so they do go with the arm as you raise them or lower them. And you do get the full rotation. For the elbow, you have double jointed, really good range of motion. He can punch himself in the face or kind of cover his mouth as he's sneezing or coughing, so pretty good. And then it is also pegged into the bicep and forearm, so you get elbow rotation if you'd like. I forgot to mention before, but it is pegged in at the bicep at the top and into the chest, so you do get a bit of bicep swivel, but not that much. And then for the ab crunch, you have a joint over here and a joint over here, and I believe they're both just sockets. So here it is, kind of with a bit of moving around, and then going back, you do get some gapping, unfortunately. You can kind of see what the joint is over here. Again, it's just a socket, but here it is going back, here it is going forward, side, side, and then for the waist, same deal. A little tighter though, again, because he's wider than he is, I would say, this way. You can't turn them that much because it just gets in the way, but when you combine it, it's a pretty decent range. The only thing though is that you break up this nice sculpt over here though, so as you can kind of see, they're supposed to be laced up like a corset or something like that, so it lines up. So if you do it, it just breaks it up, which is again a typical problem with many figures, or any figure I should say. And then, you know, really nicely painted belt over here, doesn't come off or anything, I just wanted to comment on that. And then for the hips, pretty standard sockets, so here it is going out to the side. You won't be getting them in any splits. Here it is going forward, so you get about horizontal, not bad. Not much going back though, thanks to how wide his butt sculpt is. So that's about it. And then you have the thigh swivel at the top over here. And then you have double jointed knees, no problem. It does not bend over here, so be careful not to try to do it. but it does rotate at the knee itself. And it is hindered by the sculpt, by the way, but it technically is there. And then it is not articulated again until you get to the ankles, which are actually just socketed. So it's just a ball socket. So it does rotate around a little bit, but you're not going to be getting that much. Here it is going forward, here it is going back, and then you do have a toe hinge over here. So I feel like I forgot to mention something that I was going to. Oh, well, let's talk about Paint and Sculpt and let's see if it comes back to me. So Paint and Sculpt overall, it was not a design or character that I was super into, but now that I have it in hand, I can see that it's pretty well executed, very, very cleanly done. The sculpt of the face in particular, just the fact that his face and cheekbones have definition is really impressive, and the scar over here is really cleanly done. Another thing that I want to mention, and something that I personally like, is just this nice clear plastic over his face over here. So that's really well done. And again, aside from the fact that this eye is kind of, you know, not dumb, but it's like scarred over, being as inconsistent. Aside from that, though, it's a pretty cool effect, so I really like it a lot. And then something that I do want to mention, though, and this is kind of strange, it's not a deal breaker, but as you can see over here for the knee, let's see if that's focusing on the right thing. You can see that you have straps over here, which are supposed to be for the knee pad, right? It is buckled in, but once you bend it, it breaks it apart. Again, not a deal breaker, but it's kind of strange considering that he comes with a wheelchair and you're going to be having him sitting all the time, that this is the most consistent look that you're going to like put him in. So, which is strange, okay? Aside from that, though, I do like the metal prosthetics over here, which are, again, shiny, really done. You can kind of see the light is reflecting on them. And there's some nice detail. Again, the pants are also textured as well. I don't know if he, let me compare him to his old self. Okay, no, his old pants are just regular pants over here, but he's wearing more of these bandaged pants over here, which is really cool. So overall, in terms of Paint and Sculpt, it's pretty done. Pretty well done. So I like it. It's more exciting than the original character, to be honest. So if you're a fan of Polnareff, I would recommend it, actually. It's a very interesting look, personally, and it has pretty good articulation, actually. And I think if I liked the character more, I would probably like the figure more. So, I mean, based on what I've seen, it's a pretty good figure. And the design is pretty interesting, too. I mean, he does come with a wheelchair, so it's kind of hard to beat. Well, that pretty much does it for this review, though. If you enjoyed, feel free to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more. But yeah, I'm going to put Polnareff in some poses for you all. Thanks for watching.